don't know about you, but I'm so tired of expensive grocery prices. They've just become so expensive. And the fact that I'm hearing that they're becoming even more expensive, we're going to discuss this further with Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, professor and senior director, agri-food analytics, and co-host of the Food Processor podcast. Hi, Dr. Charlebois. How are you?
Good morning. It's actually the Food Professor podcast, just so you know.
Oh, I thought I said that.
Yeah. Well, I think you said food processor.
Oh, you're right. I did.
Professor, yeah. A lot of people make that mistake, so don't worry.
I did. That's funny. Maybe you should change the name of the podcast if everybody's saying that.
I know. Maybe 2 podcasts. What about that, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So, earlier this week, Loblaws they warned Canadians that grocery prices are about to skyrocket. What's up with that?
I don't know. To be honest, I mean, there's a lot of finger pointing right now at counter tariffs, but if you look at the official Gazette, most tariffs impacting the food chain have been postponed until October. I personally think that, so this happened during the election, but there was so much noise around the election and leadership, and few people actually pay attention to that. So on April 16th, a decision was made to postpone many counter tariffs implemented by Ottawa, with the exception of tariffs on citrus, orange juice, coffee, tea, alcoholic products, things like that. Other than that, most are either postponed or there are programs in place to help processors who do import ingredients from the United States that are tariffed to actually get some funding to offset these costs. So right now, I would say that the vast majority of food we see at the grocery store, they may have been tariffed between, say, March the 3rd to May 7th. That's when tariffs were postponed, May 7th. That was the day after Prime Minister Carney actually visited the White House to meet with President Trump. But since then, their tariffs aren't an issue. So I don't know exactly what's going on right now, but my guess is that companies like Loblaws and Walmart in the United States are a little concerned about, bad trade policy, and tariffs, are bad trade policy.
Right. I mean, I think we can all agree about that. But I guess, I've certainly just changed my habits in terms of when I'm looking at my fruits and veggies and when I'm shopping, I am looking at what country they're from. I happen to shop at a Farm Boy, and the signs are very clearly marked. And I think what I've learned from this experience is how much of my produce comes from Mexico. I don't think I realized that before because I wasn't paying attention. And now that I am, I'm like, oh, everything I buy is from Mexico. Fascinating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of Canadians went into the grocery store and just basically avoided American products, and grocers noticed, and they made some adjustments. For weeks now, we've seen surveys after surveys suggesting that Canadians are walking away from American products by buying more Canadian, but we did get a report this week from Nelson IQ. That's the company getting sales data from grocers directly, and to get a better picture of how much more people are buying Canadian. And between February and April, sales for Canadian food products have gone up about 4.4%.
Oh,
which is probably lower than most people think.
Yeah,
but it's actually not bad. It's 4.4% in food retail is actually quite a lot.
Because you say 4.4%, I'm thinking, no, it was 40%, right? 4.4
Well, a lot of people think it was probably 40, 50%, but the point I'm making is that habits are hard to break. People go into a grocery store, they'll buy the same products. To actually get them to buy something different, to look at, people are looking at packages, they are looking at the country of origin, but are they actually buying something different with their dollars? And now we know the answer. And so sales for American food products have gone down 4.1%. So basically the shift has been about 4%, one way to the other.
What else was in that study that you learned that you thought was interesting?
Well, I mean, basically, I think that a lot of people who are listening into this show have gone to the grocery store. They've actually looked at cane products. In fact, it's not hard to do right now when you walk into the grocery store. It feels like a Canada Day parade every day. Maple leaves like everywhere. But after a while, you don't see those maple leaves because you see them like every time you go into the grocery store. And people start to zero in on price. So if they were able to buy a cane product, they did. But most of the time, grocers actually offered a cheaper alternative. And right now, a lot of people are concerned about their budget. They're concerned about the economy. So they're being very, very careful with their money when they spend at the grocery store.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think being more cognizant of which grocery stores they shop in, who's got higher prices, who has lower prices, I think people are definitely paying attention,
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Farm Boy, which is owned by Sobeys. Great choice. But Farm Boy is, let's face it, a little bit more expensive than the average store. You want to have a portfolio of, say, 3 stores, Farm Boy, a discount store, and perhaps an independent store. And I know that in Toronto, there are lots of great independent stores offering great deals. And people often say, well, if it's a small store, it's going to be more expensive. Not necessarily.
Yeah, it's funny. So I live in Midtown Toronto, and at Yonge and Davisville, there are 2 sort of fruit and veggie stands, I call them.
Yep.
And they are much cheaper. So yes, I notice when I go in there, the lineup is long because everybody's like, yep, I'm going to save some money shopping here. But, it's funny, if you walk a couple of blocks up, we have another fruit and veggie store, which is the expensive fruit and veggie store. But the produce is amazing. And I remember talking to the owner. It's like he drives down to that food terminal every morning and he brings the groceries in fresh, which is why the quality is so good. But he does charge for it. But at the Yonge and Davisville markets, it's a little cheaper. But yeah, there's so many different places to do grocery shopping around the city. And there's so many sort of smaller, I think yesterday I was in the Canary District. I'm also a real estate agent. I was showing some condos. So we went into, I think it was called Marche Leo, something like that. But, my husband noticed that the prices were more expensive there. In fact, I think he thought they were more expensive there than they were at Farm Boy. So
really,
yeah, it is tricky to sort of navigate, who's got the different prices. And I remember hearing from Loblaws executives many, many years ago that they actually changed the prices in their stores to correspond with the demographics of the neighborhood that they're in. So if you're in a more expensive neighborhood, that Loblaw is going to be more expensive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, and sometimes you'll actually just walk on the same street, find perhaps a store operated by the same grocer with different prices. And people don't realize that, geography actually plays a huge role when it comes to pricing. I mean, you're in business yourself, in real estate that depending on where the condo is or the property is, it will impact the value of the property. It's kind of the same thing with food. If you walk up the street, depending on who actually shops there, prices will be set according to the market right there.
Absolutely. I guess that's why they say location.
Absolutely.
We've run out of time. That's all the time we've got for our interview. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Sylvain Charlebois from the Food Professor podcast. And he's a senior director in agri-food analytics, just giving us some insight about food, our purchases, the tariffs, and the cost. Coming up next, are you getting married next year or you know someone who is? Well, the tariffs have started to affect those in the wedding industry too. So stick around to find out how you can try to save some money or how I Do has become a little bit more expensive. It's currently 8:45. You're listening live to DeVal Morrison at 640 Toronto.